Welcome to this video on how to change your life, how to make changes to become a better version of yourself. And before you think to yourself, well, there is no one who has time for that, it only takes one day. I want to explain to you in 7 steps how you can make changes to your life that you can actually apply in just one day. So that is all that it takes. I will explain to you the 7-step program, and by the end of it, you will know exactly what kind of changes you want to make to your life. And to make it even easier for you to follow through on, I have created a life plan template for you. So in this video, I'm not just going to explain to you how you can change your life. I am also going to literally give you the action plan that you need. So if you want, you can just grab that for free. If not, it is also totally fine to complete all of the steps on a piece of paper or just on your laptop. You don't need the template. It's just something that works really well for me. But if it doesn't work for you, then that is totally fine, of course. So let's dive into the steps first, and then I will explain how you can download the template afterwards. Okay, so the first step is identifying your life areas. What kind of areas does your life consist of? So instead of assessing what your life currently looks like and then making a plan based on that, we are first going to break apart your life into all of these different areas so that you will know exactly how you're doing in every single area. Because maybe you're doing super well in your career, but not so well in your health or relationship. So that is something that we want to know before we start changing your life. We first want to map out how you're currently doing. So step 1 is identifying what kind of areas your life consists of. Now, obviously, we all live different lives, so we also have different life areas. But generally speaking, there are 3 categories of life areas. And these categories are, firstly, being. So this first category in the middle consists of every single area that revolves around you. So you in relationship to yourself. You can also see it over here. So the second circle over here includes the areas that relate to the people around you. For example, your relationship, family, or your social life. And then the outer ring over here includes all of the areas that you are currently doing or handling. For example, your career or money or anything you do for fun, like hobbies and that sort of thing. So those are the 3 categories of life areas that we're going to be using. So being, relating, and doing. Now, some examples. Obviously, the easy thing to do would be to just take over all of the areas that I listed here. So the areas from the circle that I just showed you. But the process works so much better if you write down areas that you actually identify with. For example, if you are not a spiritual person, then maybe the area soul would be a little off for you. Now, zooming in, inside this soul area, so the spiritual area over here, you have different types of areas. For example, if you're a religious person, you might have an area for your faith or your religion. If you value your purpose or you want to discover your purpose, purpose might be an area on its own. Then we also have things like values or meaning or connection. And these all relate to your soul because all of these things nourish your soul, but they are different for every single person. So the idea is that you define life areas that suit you best. So for each of these categories in the circle, you're going to be writing down some areas that you identify with. Because if you don't feel good about how you name the area, then you're not going to be feeling inspired to do something about it. So that's what we're going to be doing first. You're going to map out every single area of your life and you're going to categorize them into either being, relating, or doing. So take these 9 different areas as your baseline, but then try and rephrase them until you think it feels right for you. So first action item, identify your life areas. Now, what I'm going to do is open the template and I'm going to walk you through how I would go about this step just to give you a little bit more context. And then once you know exactly what you need to do, you can do it for yourself. Again, you don't need to use the template for this. You can also just use a piece of paper or anything that works for you. Okay, so I am in the life plan template in Notion. And what I'm going to do first is open step 1. So I'm just going to open this as a full page. And you will see that I have created a database where we can write down the life areas. So I'm just going to click this new page button here. And now I can create my own life areas. So starting with mind over here, is this an area that I relate to? Or do I maybe want to rephrase it into something else? Well, I think for me, mind actually sounds pretty good. So I'm just going to write down mind. And then the category, I'm going to select being. Then next up is body. Do I want to name my next category body? Well, I think I'm just going to go with physical health or health and fitness because that sounds a little bit better to me. So I'm going to say health and fitness. And again, this is in the being category. Next up is soul. So I think I'm just going to go with spirituality. And that also falls in the being category. Now, once you have listed all of your life areas in here, I also want to ask you to describe them for yourself so that you know exactly what this area means to you. For example, the word mind on its own may be a little vague, or you might not know exactly what it includes. But if you describe what it means, then it makes it a little bit more relatable to you. Make it as personal and as specific as possible so that whenever you take a look at one of these areas, you know exactly what they mean. Okay, so I've just quickly copy and paste all of the descriptions from the slide that I just showed you, but the idea is that you make this personal. For example, in the relationship area, you're going to describe your partner, obviously. You're not just going to say romantic partner if you're in a relationship. And for career, I would also definitely recommend that you name your career. For example, I have 2 different businesses. I am a consultant for other businesses, and I also have my own business called Girls Gone Growth. So instead of adding one area called career, I'm going to split it into both of my businesses. So I'm going to say consultancy, and then I'm just going to select this and click on these 3 dots here and then click on duplicate. You can also do this by clicking on Command D as a shortcut. So I'm also going to say Girls Gone Growth, which is, like I said, my business. And I'm going to describe this as work for clients. And I'm going to describe this as YouTube coaching community and membership. Now for play, I am going to do the same. Like it says here, this means your hobbies and interests, but I have 2 very specific hobbies that I want to give their own category. So again, I'm going to select this and I'm going to click on Command D 2 times just to make sure that it duplicates. This can take a while. All right, there we are. And I'm going to rename them as those hobbies. So first off is travel. And the other one is home. So I'm really into interior design. I do this as a hobby, so purely as a hobby. So that is something that I want to add to my list of areas. And I'll change the description to interior design and this to traveling. Just a quick description. Now, since I don't have kids yet, I have put kids along with all of my other family into one single category. But if you have kids yourself, I can definitely understand that you want to make them a separate category. So just use these areas as a baseline and then work from there to personalize them. Okay, so once you have identified your life areas, we're going to move on to step 2, which is assessing your current life. So before we can make any changes to your life, we first have to know what your life includes, not just in general, but for each of the life areas that you just identified in step 1. So how are you doing for each of the areas that you have just defined for yourself? That is going to be the next step. So you're not just going to ask yourself, well, I think I'm doing great because my career is going great. You're going to do this for every single life area because chances are, if you're doing well in one area, you maybe are lacking in one of the other areas of your life. And the entire goal of this video is to make changes to all of your life. So not just one area like your career or your health, but every single area. So how do you do a life assessment? Well, there are 3 key elements here that I want to discuss with you. So in order to assess the areas, you need to take into account whether you feel passionate about the area, whether you're making progress, and how much time you are investing in this area. So that is what we're going to be doing for all of your life areas. And the sweet spot here is where you have all 3. You feel good about it, you're making progress, and you're also investing enough time, but not too much time into this area. That is where the sweet spot is. So to assess your current life, we're going to go back to the Notion template and we're going to be assessing your life based on those 3 indicators. So we're back in Notion. As you can see, I'm just going to click Life Plan here. So we're going to go back to the home page and I'm going to scroll down to step number 2. And again, I'm going to open this in full page here by clicking on these arrows. So as you can see, over here are the areas that we just identified in the previous step. And what we're going to be doing now is first describing our current status. So I want you to create a description of how your area is currently going. For example, for the health and fitness area, how are you doing? Describe what is going well. Maybe you're going to the gym quite often. Maybe you're focusing on getting enough sleep. describe this area so that you know exactly how you're doing right now. And this can be as long or as short as you want. Just make sure that it's a complete overview of this area. So, for example, do not just describe your exercise routine here. Also, describe how you're doing with your diet, with your sleep, with your supplements. Maybe you even have an injury or something like that. Write down everything that relates to this area inside this description box here. And then once you're done, we're going to move over to these 3 type indicators here. So for all of the areas, again, I want you to consider whether you still feel passionate about this area. For example, for your relationship, do you still feel passion for the relationship? Are you still in love with your partner? And what about your job, for example? Do you still like your job? And your friends, for instance, do you still feel connected to them? Or maybe have you outgrown them? Or are you going separate ways? Do this for every single area. So as an example, let's just go with health and fitness here. So I'm just going to click on this box here and I'm just going to ask myself, how passionate am I about my health and fitness right now? Well, I would say that I'm pretty passionate about eating healthy, so cooking healthy recipes. But right now, I do not feel as passionate as I should be about going to the gym, for example. So what I'm going to say here is some. I have some passion for this area, but not enough. And then you're going to be doing the same for progress. Are you making progress in this area or are you stagnating? So let's just take the health and fitness example. Do I feel like I am making progress in this area? Well, I would definitely say that I could be making more progress in the gym because I'm not going as often as I would like. But in the other aspects of my health and fitness area, I would definitely say that I am making a lot of progress. For example, in my diet and my sleep, I am really improving. So I'm just going to stick with some. So I'm making some progress in this area. And then next up is time. Are you spending enough time in this area? Are you investing enough of your time in this area? Well, for me personally, I would definitely say that I am not spending enough time here because in my line of work, I sit a lot. Like I'm behind my desk all day long. So I definitely think that I should be moving and exercising more. So I am going to say that I am not spending enough time in this area. Okay, so once you have done this for every single area here, you are gonna score the area. So based on your description here, based on how passionate you are, how much progress you're making, and how much time you are spending, what would you rate this area right now? How would you say this area is going? Just rate it from 1 to 10. So if I were to rate my health and fitness area, I would say that based on everything that I just said here, I would say that I am scoring a 7 because I am really focusing on eating healthy, eating organic. I'm focusing on getting like 8 to 9 hours of sleep every single night. So I would definitely say that I'm on the right path, but I could really do better in terms of exercise. So I would say that I'm a 7 right now. And again, do this for every single area here. So base your score on everything that you listed in this row here. And then once you're done, we're going to move on to step 3. Okay, so once you know how you're doing for every single area of your life, I want you to prioritize your life areas because we cannot focus on every single area as much as we'd like, but we can still achieve some form of balance by focusing on what is important right now. So for each of your life area, I want you to rank how important it is for you. So give it a number and then rank it based on importance. So number 1 is the most important area. So the thing that you want to focus on the most right now. And for example, number 8 or number 9 will be your least important area. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to be focusing on that at all. It just means that you have your priorities straight. For example, if your number 1 priority is your family and your career is on number 6, you have a better idea of where you want to spend your time on. Now, if that would be your list of priorities, then you would not be aligning your life with your priorities if you would be working 80 hours a week, for example, because your focus area should be your family. It's really about which areas do you not want to compromise for anything. Those are your top 3 focus areas. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. You are going to determine your focus areas by categorizing them from most to least importance. Okay, so we're back in Notion. I'm going to go back to the life plan here and then scrolling down to step number 3. Again, I'm going to open this as a full page here. And now what you will see is how much time I am spending here, the score that I gave this area. And now we're also going to give it a priority. So let's go over my top 3 priorities first. So personally, I really do believe that in order to help other people, so in order to be there for others, for example, for your kids, for your family, or your colleagues, I really do think that you should prioritize yourself first. For example, if your physical health is deteriorating, then you're also not the best colleague to work with. So I would definitely say that health and fitness, mind and spirituality are things that are definitely at the top of my priorities right now. So let's just say I'm going to set this at the number one priority. Afterwards, maybe comes health and spirituality, which for me really means feeling fulfilled and meaningful and connected. And perhaps next comes your relationship, maybe then your business. Okay, so I've just ranked every single area here. Now, this is just an example. This is not my personal priority list. This is just an example just to show you how that would look like and why these two columns are also relevant. Now, immediately you can see that in my number one priority over here, I'm doing pretty well. I'm spending enough time and I'm also scoring like way above average. But then for the second one, you can see that this is a very high priority for me, but I am not spending enough time here. So this is definitely something that could be a focus area for me right now. I need to be doing more here. And I also want to be doing more here. But you can also see that even though I say that I feel like I'm not spending enough time in play, so pursuing hobbies, it is also not a priority for me right now. So I'm actually fine with this. Like, obviously, maybe we could do a little bit more there, but it is not going to be my main priority to increase this score here. Whereas in this area, so health and fitness, I really want to be spending more time in. So what this does is not just showing you your priorities, it is also showing you how you are allocating your time right now and maybe even how you should be allocating your time. Like I said, I'm totally okay with not spending enough time in play right now because I am focusing so much on, for example, my business and my relationship and my health. So right now it is not a priority. So this will give you a cheat sheet when you need to make decisions. You can do them based on your priorities. Say that on a specific day, I have some time left and I can choose between doing something fun or doing some form of exercise here. So according to the list here, the right choice for me would be to do exercise because I am not spending enough time here, same as here, but this is a priority for me, whereas this is not a priority for me. So that is why it's super important to create a list for yourself. Obviously, it's not nice to score low in one of the categories, but if you are not prioritizing that right now, then why should you focus on that if it is not a priority for you? That also means that you will probably not be motivated enough to make the time or to improve this area. So it is best to focus on the things that you do want to improve. And those things are over here at the top of the list. So yes, for each of these areas, give it a number so that you have your priorities straight. Now, the next step is to create a life vision for yourself. So again, you have identified your life areas and you know what they look like right now because you have described what the area looks like right now and you have also given it a score. So that is your starting point. Now, what we want to do next is create a vision of how that area could look like. What do you want it to look like? Like, how would a 10 look like? So if you could score this area with a 10, describe what it would look like for you. And that is your vision. So for each of these areas, you're going to be creating a vision for yourself. So let's just dive straight in. For each of your life areas, you're going to describe what a 10 would look like. So you're going to create a life vision statement for yourself. And along with a statement, you're also going to be describing what this vision looks like, just to make sure that you really know what you want and you can also really feel it while writing it. And then you can also write down some motivations, some reasons to why you want this specific vision. And we'll end with a quote for that specific area, something to keep you motivated, and also a visual representation of that specific area so that you can start manifesting that vision. Okay, so again, we are back in the template. I'm going to go back to the home page here and I'm going to scroll down to number 4. And again, I'm going to open in full page. Okay, so again, this is a list of all of your areas. And what we're going to be doing is create a vision statement. So create a statement from the present tense that would represent your ideal situation here. It doesn't have to be long. Just make sure that with that sentence, you describe perfectly what you want from that area. And once you have created a statement here, you're also going to create a description. So this is a statement, is one sentence long, and then you're going to describe in detail what that life looks like for you. And then next up, it is super important to write down your motivations for this vision. Why do you want this vision to become a reality? Why is it important to you? Why do you want this? It is super important to get to the bottom of this because you really need to make sure that you are motivated to turn this vision statement into a reality. And if you're not really feeling it, maybe because you are writing it down because you think it is something that you want, or maybe it is something that your partner wants, or your parents want, or someone else in your life, that is not going to work because you need to be intrinsically motivated to turn that vision into a reality. And that is only going to work if it is something that you want, not because society is pressuring you into wanting this, or because your friends want this, or other people around you. It has to be something that you want. Because if it is not something that you really want, like deep down, you don't really want it, you're not going to feel motivated to start achieving your goals, which is what we're going to be doing in the next step. You have to see this as the end destination of what you really want. So make sure that whatever you write down for each of these areas is something that you genuinely want for yourself. And write down all of the reasons you can think of to motivate you here in this column. Because whenever you feel unmotivated, and I promise you, this will happen. There will come a time where you will feel stuck, you will feel unmotivated, you will not want to continue working on your goals. And then it is so important to go back over to this list. If you read through all of the reasons that you listed there as to why you want to work hard on creating this vision for yourself, that is how you're going to get back up. That is how you're going to be motivated again, by reading those reasons, by becoming excited for them again. So yes, very important to also list your reasons here. Then if you want, you can also write down an inspiring quote, something that keeps you motivated whenever things get tough. And then once you're done, you're also going to upload a visual representation of what that vision would look like for you. And this is also a very important motivator, because for each of these areas, you're going to upload the image here into the template, and then you will see them all over here. So every single area will get its own image, something that you have chosen, something that you genuinely want, something that you want to work towards. So every time you look back at this page, you will have a visual representation of your dream life. And that will obviously help you in manifesting it. And also, of course, in just keeping you motivated. So yes, that is the next step. So for each of these areas, you will complete the list. Now, if you click on one of these areas, you can do it either in the board view or in the table view, as you can see. You can open them in full page. And I would definitely recommend that you do that. So if you open this, you can open it in full page here. Now let's just do one as an example. So let's stick with health and fitness. So, for example, your vision statement could be something like, I am energized, fit, healthy, and in the best shape of my life. Like I said, do it as if it is already a reality. That is also super important. Then here in the vision description, you can describe what that would look like for you. What does it mean for you to feel energized? Like what can you do? And when will you feel healthy and in the best shape of your life? What would that look like for you? List down as many details as you like in the description. And your reasons could be something like, I want to grow old. I want to make the most out of life. I don't want to get sick. Just make sure the reasons are things that you actually value. Next up, a quote. So what I would usually do is go to Pinterest and then search for something like health quotes and then motivation. And then you will end up with a lot of quotes. So for example, I think I really like this one. Do it for your future self. So I'm just going to write it down here. Do it for your future self. And then I'm also going to look up some images that really represent how I would see myself if I were this person. So I would just go back to Pinterest and search for something like health aesthetic. aesthetic. So I actually really like this image here. Just gonna download, and this one. Maybe also this one and this one. And then I'm going to upload them here. So you can just select a file here. So now I will have some images here again for motivation whenever things get tough. I really think to myself, like, yes, I really want to accomplish this, so I have to do better. So that is the whole idea behind the visual representation. Now, last thing is you scroll back up and you change the banner image. So this is really important because this is going to determine your vision board. So we're going to change the cover into the image that really encompasses what we want to achieve. So you have to really feel this image because this is the image that you're going to be using to manifest on. So I'm just going to change the cover. I'm going to upload, and I've gone for the girl with the yoga mat because I think that really encompasses everything that I want to achieve here. So if I go back to my life areas over here to the board view, you will now see that this has become my banner image, and you can reposition as to how you want, and you can save the position here. So if you do this for every single area, then you will have a vision board for yourself. So the idea is to do this for every single area. So if you go back to the table view, you will see exactly which of these areas you have already filled in and which you haven't. So you can just fill this in whenever you feel like it. And I would definitely recommend that you open the area in full page so that you are focused entirely on the specific area and you're not distracted by every other area that you see here. And like I said, once you do, you can just open it in full page and you will see step 4 listed here. Now, don't forget to add your banner image to the area just to make sure that you have a visual representation for your vision board. Okay, so the next step is to create a life plan. So in the previous steps, we have identified your current life, you have made an assessment, and you have rated every single area of your life. And in the previous step, we have also created where you want to go. So your dream life, your envisioned life. And what is left to do now is to create a roadmap from how you will get from point A to point B. And the way to do that is by setting goals and habits for yourself. So that is what we're going to be doing in this step. So before we dive into it, I first want to make a distinction between goals and habits because they are two entirely different things. So goals are one-off projects. They are something that you do once, and habits, on the other hand, are long-term commitments. So an example of a goal could be to lose 20 pounds by December 31st. Whereas an example of a habit would be to go to the gym every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So this is something that you do once, and this is something that you do repeatedly. Now, goals, they have a specific deadline or a due date. For example, over here, you will see that this goal is due on December 31st, whereas habits have a frequency. So you do them multiple times. And this could be, for example, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but it could also be every day. It could be every week, every month, every year. It is totally up to you. But the key difference here is that goals are something that you work towards. And once you have completed them, they're done. Whereas habits are things that you do repeatedly. So your life plan consists of both. You will set goals for yourself, but you will also set habits for yourself. And then one other big difference is that goals exist of multiple tasks. For example, losing 20 pounds, that is not something that you can do in one single day. So it is not one task. This is something that you need to break apart into multiple different tasks. For example, you could set a task for yourself to lose 1 pound or 2 pounds or 5 pounds straight until you reach the 20 pounds. Now, habits, on the other hand, are tasks. They are things that you can complete in a single day. So for example, if your habit is to go to the gym every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, then each week you have 3 tasks to complete. You have to go to the gym on Monday, which is task number 1, on Wednesday, which is task number 2, and on Friday, which is task number 3. So do you see the difference here? A habit is a task, whereas a goal has tasks. Now, how do you break apart your vision into goals and habits? The key thing here is to make them smarter. And this goes for both goals and habits. you make sure they are smarter. So let's just dive into what that means. First up, your goal or your habit needs to be specific. Because if it's vague, then that will definitely not inspire you to take action. So setting a goal like starting my own business is not gonna help you move forward, because how do you do that? You have no idea how to do that. That is way too vague to accomplish. So the key thing here is to ask yourself, do I know exactly what this goal means? Then next up is measurability. Your goal or your habit also needs to be measurable, because you need to know exactly how you can accomplish the goal. For example, if you set a goal to lose weight or to become fitter, how will you ever know when you have accomplished this goal? There is no measurement here. You have no idea how much weight to lose or how much fitter you want to be. So always make sure that you know when you have accomplished the goal. For example, you could say, I want to lose 20 pounds instead of I want to lose weight. Or you could say, I want to fit in my old favorite jeans again instead of becoming fitter. Next up is actionability. You need to know exactly which actions you need to take to complete the goal. So you have to make sure that you know exactly what you need to do. For example, if your goal is to be more consistent in the gym, then how is that actionable? You have no idea what to do. Like, when can you check this off your list? When have you become more consistent? That is not an action in itself. And the same goes for exercising more. What is more? This is not actionable. So the key thing here is to use verbs like going or quitting instead of states of being. So instead of saying, I am more consistent in the gym, you say something like start exercising 4 times a week or take a 30-minute walk every Monday, for example. Okay, so next up is your goal needs to be realistic, but also a little risky. So you want to make sure that you don't set the bar too low, but also not too high. For example, if your goal is to exercise more, but you already go to the gym twice a week, then if you set the goal for yourself to go to the gym once a month, you set the bar way too low, because that is something that you're already doing without putting in the effort. So that is not inspiring you to get out of your comfort zone, because this is still in your comfort zone. And the same goes for going to the gym 5 times a week. If you're still getting the hang of exercising, pushing yourself to go to the gym 5 times a week might be a little too much for you, because there is a really good chance that you've set the bar too high for yourself and you're going to fail. So you're not going to go to the gym 5 times a week. Maybe you go to the gym 4 times a week, and you will see yourself as a failure. Even though if you look at it objectively, going to the gym 4 times a week is actually a great accomplishment. But because you're setting the bar too high for yourself, you will still not feel happy with the results. So don't set it too low, but also really don't set it too high for yourself. Then it also needs to be time bound. So if it's a goal, you need to set a deadline. And if it's a habit, you need to set a frequency. Because if you don't, you will simply not do it. It will not be urgent enough, and your day-to-day life will just get in the way and you will not complete the goal or the habits. So make sure that you give it either a deadline or a frequency, but make sure that it's not too far in the future. For example, if it's the beginning of the year and you're setting goals for yourself for the end of the year, then still you're losing that sense of urgency, because you will constantly think to yourself like, oh, well, I have ages left to finish this because I still have an entire 12 months to do this. And that means you'll just keep postponing it until it's too late. And then at the end of the year, you will have like 10 different goals who all need to be accomplished by the end of the year. And then you will not have enough time. So make sure they have a sense of urgency. For example, I personally would set no more than 10 goals a year, and then I would divide them between quarters. So for example, in the first 3 months, I will start working on like 2 to 4 goals. And then in the second quarter, I will do another 2 to 4 goals, and then up until the last quarter. This way it will not be overwhelming, but you will also still have that sense of urgency that you need in order to feel motivated. Then next up is exciting. So you need to feel excited to start working on your goal or your habit, because if you're not, then chances are really big that you're not going to come through. If you don't feel excited by thinking about the goal, by accomplishing it, and by working on it, then why would you even do it? Because that clearly means that you don't want to do it. And so whenever things get tough, whenever you get stuck, you will simply not have the motivation to get back on track. So this is actually a really important one. You have to make sure that you feel inspired by this goal, because if you don't, you're not going to complete it. So you have to think to yourself, how can I turn this goal into something that actually excites me? For example, If you don't like going to the gym, then maybe try and find some form of exercise that you do really like. You don't have to go to the gym to lose weight. You can also do something else. You have to make it work for you. For example, you could try a group class or personal training or a team sport like tennis or hockey or something like that, or yoga. Obviously, working on your goals will require some form of discomfort, because if you would really enjoy it, then you would have done it already. So there is always going to be that feeling of discomfort, but that's part of the deal, because without discomfort, there's no growth. So remember that, but do make sure that you actually do feel inspired by the goal. And the last item on the checklist is that the goal or the habit needs to be relevant. It needs to align to your current life, to your values, and to your other goals. Because if it doesn't, there is also a really big chance that you're not going to make it. So make sure the goal is relevant. Say you want to start a family, but you also set a goal for yourself to quit your job to start your own business. Do you see how in your current life, all of these things together might be a little tough to combine? So for each of your goals, check whether they fit your life. And also, should you try and fit them into your life, make sure that they are relevant to you and to your life, not to other people around you. Okay, so now it is time to create your life plan using goals and habits. And as I explained, the key thing here is to make them smarter. So with each goal or habit that you set, check for yourself whether you think they are smarter. Now I'm going to show you around the Notion template again. But as I said before, you can also just do this on your own. But for the sake of the template, I'm just gonna stick to that right now. So we're back in Notion and I'm going to scroll down. By now you should have your life vision here. And the next step is to create your life plan. So that is what we're going to be doing right now. Now you will already have filled in your current status, which was step 2. And you will also have filled in your vision description, which was step 4. And now the idea is that from this current status, you're going to set goals and habits for yourself so that you can achieve this vision here that you wrote down for yourself. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to break apart every single area here into goals and habits. And for goals, you use this column. So you just click here and you start typing, and then you can start adding your goals. And for habits, you do it over here. And once you are done, a list of your goals will appear over here and a list of your habits will appear over here. Now, how I would go about this would be to again open the area. For example, let's just open health and fitness again. Open it and then go to step 5 here so that you can start adding goals from here. Because I've created an overview for your goals here and also for your habits. So they're also connected to this step. So for example, in order for me to become energized, fit, and healthy, I wanna set a habit for myself to go to the gym every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 a.m. I'm just gonna add that. And I also want to set a goal for myself to lose 5 pounds, for example. So do you see the difference here? The goal over here is something that has a due date. This is something that I want to accomplish by a certain date. So I want to ask you to give this a due date. And in the habits overview, I want you to write down the frequency here. So let's say that I want to give myself 1 month to do this, for example. So today is November 4th. And I'm gonna set the date for December 4th. And for habits, I wanna add the frequency in this column here. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this frequency here and paste it in the frequency column. And now I can delete it from here. And now you will see that we have a goal and a habit for this area. Now, the idea is that you create as many goals and habits as you want. I wouldn't do too many because it still has to be something that you can actually accomplish. But try and break down your entire vision here into goals. For example, another habit could be to go to bed at 10 p.m. And the frequency could be every weekday. Now, like we discussed, you want to make sure that your goals and your habits are smarter. So we also have a checklist here where you can think to yourself whether your goals and your habits all fit in these categories here. Now going back over to the homepage, you will now see that the health and fitness area over here has a goal, and it also has 2 habits that are connected to it. So if we scroll down, we will see the goal overview here. So this is the goal that we just added, and you will also see the habits here that we just added. Okay, so the next step is probably the most important step, and it is to implement your plan, because we can all create a plan, but the key is to stick to it. And the funny thing is, most people who create New Year's resolutions stop at this step. So they create a plan, they create their resolutions, and then they never look at them again. And surprise, at the end of the year, they look back at their resolutions and be like, well, I didn't do anything with these. And that is because they didn't implement their plan. And that is so crucial to changing your life. Because if you don't take action on the plan, then nothing will happen. So here are 4 key tips to help you implement your plan. Now, the first thing is to look at it daily. If you do not look at your plan every single day, or at least try to look at it every single day, it won't happen because it will just move to the back of your mind and you will start forgetting all about it. So this is actually so important. So make sure that you print it out or you put it somewhere on your laptop or your phone that you will be able to access it super easy. Because if you don't, I promise you, in just a matter of weeks or months, life will have caught up with you and you will lose motivation because you're not looking at your plan. So that is a key thing for you to remember. Next up is you have to schedule time to make it work. If you don't schedule your goals and your habits, again, they will not happen. You have to make time for your habits and your goals in your schedules because otherwise, I promise you, nothing will happen. So you have to really schedule it in. Now, how can you do that without compromising your other obligations? So the only way this will work is if you plan ahead. Because if you don't plan, you will end up on someone else's plan. That is a crucial thing to remember here. Next up, priorities. Have your priorities straight. We talked about this in step 3, but it is one thing to create a list of your priorities, but it's another thing to actually prioritize things in your life. You have to spend your time in the same way that you created your list of priorities. Like we discussed before, if you really value your health and fitness, but you don't spend enough time in this area, then you're not living in alignment with your priorities. So make sure that you put your priorities first. If health is a priority, then you do not skip the gym. It doesn't matter what kind of work obligation or something else comes your way, you do not compromise. Obviously, there are cases that you have to, but in general, don't skip the gym if it is a priority for you. And the last thing that I want to say about this is to work on your plan daily. Add some goals and some habits to your list every single day, but make sure they fit your schedule. So don't give yourself like 20 different habits that you have to complete every single day. Just do 1 or 2, and the same for your goals. Just start working on 1 goal every single day. And you will see that in time, all of those little bits of time that you invest throughout the year will start to add up. Even if it's just for 30 minutes a day, like really, it doesn't have to be a lot of time. Just a little bit will go a long way. Okay, so step 6, we are now going to start implementing your plan by creating tasks for you and by adding them to your schedule. Okay, so once you've completed the checklist, we still have to make your goals actionable because, like I said, habits are tasks, but goals consist of tasks. So in order to make your goal actionable, you have to break it down further into daily tasks. So that is what we're going to be doing next. So you open one of the goals that you have just set for yourself, and you will see a task list here. So this task list is connected to your goal. For example, for this goal, I cannot do this in a single day. I have to break this apart into doable tasks. So what I'm going to do is create a task. I'm going to say lose 1 of 5 pounds. Next, I'm going to say lose 2 out of 5 pounds. Okay, so going back to the goal here, the deadline that I gave myself was December 4th. So the last task will be completed on December 4th. The first pound I'm going to set for the 11th, and then the other one for the 18th, the 25th, and the 2nd, for instance. So now I have broken apart this goal into 5 different actionable tasks. So these are all things that I should be able to accomplish within a single week. Now, whenever I complete one of these tasks, for example, let's just say that I completed the first one, you will see that my progress has updated here. So once I've hit the 100% mark, I will have completed the goal. So this is also a really playful way to make sure that you stay on track, because at all times you will see exactly how far you've come and also how far you still have to go. So going back to the homepage here, if I scroll down to the goal section here, you will see that the 5 tasks that I just wrote down are listed here, and the progress is also measured here. So at all times, you will have a very good overview of what you have done and also what you still have to do. Now, you can also adjust the status over here. So for example, right now I could say that it is in progress, and once I've completed everything, I can change the status to done. Okay, so the way to implement your plan is to put it inside your schedule. So that is what I've created here in step 6 for you. So the first thing we see here are your tasks. So these are your goal tasks. As you can see, all of these tasks are part of the same goal, that the one that we just went over, and you will also already see a due date here. Now, the tasks that are completed will be in this section here. So this list has all of the things that you still need to do, and this one has the items that you've already completed. Now, that is not all, because your goal tasks are one thing, but as we talked about, you also have habits, which are also tasks. But these are things that are not necessarily scheduled. For example, to go to bed at 10 p.m. every weekday. So how do you make sure that you still incorporate your habits? Well, I've created a schedule for you here, which is a weekly schedule where you can add your tasks. So your goal tasks and your habits. Now, your goal tasks are things that you have already given a due date here. But let's just say that you haven't added a due date yet. Let's delete the due date just to show you that in the schedule, you will now see that there are 4 tasks that do not have a due date yet. So every single task without a due date will appear here. So you can see that all of these tasks have no due date yet. So your task is to see if you want to add some of these to your schedule for this week. For example, maybe you want to accomplish this one by Saturday. So you can just drag it over and it will appear in your schedule for this week. Now you do the same for your habits. For example, I have created a habit to go to the gym on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a habit, go to the gym. And I'm going to duplicate. I'm also going to do this for Wednesday, and I'm going to do it for Friday. And if you want, you can also add a time. So let's go to the date here, include time. You select the toggle here, and I'm gonna set it at 6 a.m. Now you'll see that at 6 a.m. Monday morning, I will have to complete this habit task. Now we also have a habit to go to bed at 10 every weekday. Again, I'm going to create a habit, go to bed before 10 p.m. I'm gonna create a due date as well, 10 p.m. And I'm also going to duplicate this. So this needs to be done every single weekday. So maybe just Monday to Thursdays. I'm not sure Friday will be doable. So let's just stick to Monday until Thursday. So if you do this every single week, so for example, on Sunday evening or maybe Monday morning, just depending on what works best for you, you create a schedule in which you incorporate your habits and goals. And when you do your daily check-in, so when you open the life plan every single day, you can just check whatever you have done. So by the end of the week, you will see exactly which of your habits and which of your goals you have completed. And this is how you implement your plan, because if you don't do this, then you can look at this, but nothing will happen because you have no idea what you have to do next. And this ensures that you will always know what to do, because you will have an overview of your goal tasks here, especially if they don't have a due date yet. They will appear here. And if they do have a date, they will appear at said date in the schedule. Now, for your habits, the same thing. You will have them over here. So every single week or every single month, whatever floats your boat, you add them to your schedule to make sure that you do them. Now, last but not least, and I promise you we're almost there, is to keep your plan alive. And this is also a very crucial step, because if you don't regularly review your plan, it won't be up to date anymore and you will stop feeling motivated to complete it. So 3 tips here A good review should exist of some reflection. So you're going to reflect on how you feel that you are doing, for example, the last week or the last month or the last quarter. It really depends on your preferences. But the key is to just ask yourself how you felt that you were doing. So, emotionally speaking, how do you feel like you're doing? Do you feel like maybe you've made a lot of improvements? Do you feel gratitude? Do you feel happy? Or do you feel as if you've slacked? And why is that? Why do you think you feel that way? Reflect on how you're feeling, super important. And then next up, also make sure that you track your progress. So, how is it going objectively speaking? If you look at your life plan, what are the things that you have accomplished? So, looking at your goals and your habits and your schedule, how many of the habits and the goal tasks did you complete? And what did you not complete? And why didn't you complete that? What happened? What went wrong? Or what can you do to improve? So, keep track of the things that you did. For example, update your statuses for your goals or check the tasks that you've done to always make sure that you know exactly what kind of progress you're making. And last but not least is planning. You also really have to consider what you're going to be doing next. So which goals are you going to be tackling and what kind of tasks you want to do? Which of your habits do you want to focus on? That is also super important. So let's start looking at an example review that I have made for you that has all of these elements and will ensure that you keep your plan alive. Okay, so back in the life plan, if I scroll down to step number 7, you will see a different schedule. So this is a calendar view, and here is where you upload your reviews. So the key thing here is to only do a review of how you were doing, so your reflection and your planning and your progress tracking when you feel like it. Because it really shouldn't be another thing on your to-do list to just do a review. It really doesn't, because then you're just going to feel uninspired, you're going to feel unmotivated to do the review, and you should only do this when you really feel like it. So don't force yourself to do a review every single day or every single week. Just do it whenever you feel like it. And that way you will make the most progress on it. So how does it work? Well, if you click on new here, a template will appear here. So this will always take a little time to load. Now, once it's loaded, you will see a lot of different things here. So basically just all of the steps that we have spoken about in this video. But I want to make sure that you know that you don't have to fill in everything. And also, you can also decide to create your own review. Let me just go back here. So if you click on this arrow here, you will see that the default setting is the template that I just showed you. But you can also just create an empty review. So if I click on this, you will see that now the review is empty and you can just write down whatever you want. You can also create your own template by clicking on new template, and then you can just create a template with the questions that you want to ask yourself. But for now, I'm just going to stick to the review template that I made, and we're going to open it here. And I'm just going to walk you through it really quickly. So the first thing is to just take a look at your vision board and remember why you're doing this. So with every review, like I said, we have to do some reflection first. And I think a very good way to do that is to first feel really excited and inspired again. So that is why you look at your vision board first. Now, obviously, I don't have any photos in my vision board yet, but if you have filled in all the previous steps, all of your visual representations of your vision will appear here. So that's it for your vision. Now I have added a few reflection questions here. Just ask yourself what's going well, what's not going well, and do you need to make any changes? So to make sure you keep your plan alive, you really should check every single step. So that's why we start with the areas and the vision here. Because if you create this plan and then next month you decide that you no longer align with this vision, for example, or this vision, you should definitely make changes to it, because otherwise your whole plan will just die. Then next up are the life areas. Now, again, the same questions here. Do you need to make any changes? Maybe you can adjust the score here, or the progress, or the time, or the passion. Just make any changes that you think would feel right, and also just answer these 2 questions. Then next up, your goals. Just ask yourself how it's going with your goals, what's going well, what's not going well, and do you need to make changes? Now, the default settings for your goals here and for your tasks is that we only display the goals for this month. If you want to see ahead, for example, you can change this to, for example, this year, and then it will show you all of the goals for this year. But I prefer to do this for just the month, but like I said, you can make changes if you want. And the same for your tasks. You can change the settings over here. Now, lastly are your habits, and these are a little bit different than your goals. The questions are the same, but the changes that you can make are not just to the habits, but also to the progress here, because you can update the progress on your habits. Because every single habit, when you first start a habit, starts at the knowing phase. So you know that this habit is something that you should be doing. For example, I know that I should go to the gym more, but I'm not doing it yet. Like I know that I should be doing it, but I'm not really doing it yet. That is the first status. Then once you've incorporated the habits slowly, so you have started doing it, so you were able to check the habit off of your schedule, then you know that you're doing it. So that means you've moved over to the next phase. And then lastly is living it. So once you've repeated a habit long enough for it to become an actual habit, you are starting to live that habit. So you're doing the habit without needing the reminder to do it, basically. It's just become part of your daily routine now. That is when you are living a habit. And that is the goal of habits. You want to make sure that you are living them. So yes, that's it about habits. I would definitely recommend that you update your progress here. If you hover on this progress bar here, you will see exactly what every status means, so that if you're not sure anymore, you can just check that. Now, if you want to add something else to your review, maybe you want to jot down some memories or something that happened to you, it doesn't really matter. You can just add a new column beneath the review here. And lastly, I would definitely recommend that you give your review a score. So if you think that you did super well, you can just give it like an 8 or a 9. So I'm just going to give this one a 9 for now. And then you will see that the review will end up here with a score. Probably in the beginning, you're extremely motivated and you will start rating your reviews quite high because you're really getting on with the habits and your goals, because you're still super motivated. But then when the first hype starts to wear off, you will start to notice in your reviews that the score will also go a little bit down. And that is normal because at first you are just super hyped. You want to start on your goals and you're still in that first positive energy, but then it will all come down to self-discipline. So it will be up to you. And that is when you start doing these reviews. That is when they become super important. So when you start to notice a decrease in the score here, do an honest review here. Go back to your vision, go back to your goals and your habits and see where you can improve. That is how a review works. It is not just some list of questions that you fill in as part of an assignment. This is all for you. It's not for someone else. You do this for you. You do this because you want to keep the plan alive. And if you don't want to keep the plan alive, that means you no longer feel inspired by the plan, meaning you need to make changes to the plan. So that is why the review is the last and final step of the plan. Okay, so that has brought me to the end of the video. By now, you should know exactly how you can change your life by creating a life plan. Step 1 is you identify your life areas. Then you do a life assessment for each of those areas. Next up is determining your focus areas, what you're going to be prioritizing this year. Then you create a vision for your life. So what each area would look like if it would be a 10. Next up is how you can fill in the gaps from your current life to your vision. And of course, make sure that all of your goals and habits are smarter. Then this is the step where most people fail, is to implement your plan by actually scheduling it into your calendar. And lastly is keeping your plan alive with doing reviews. Now do the review in your own time, whenever you feel like it, and don't force yourself to do one. Now, as promised, the template, like I said, you can download it for free. I have put the link in the description box. Now, once you open the link, all you have to do is duplicate it, and I will show you how that works. So if you open the link, you'll be forwarded to this page here, and all you have to do is click on this duplicate button here. So when you duplicate it, you will be asked to create a Notion account if you don't have one already, which is completely free. And FYI, this video is not sponsored by Notion or anything. I just really like the way it works. So you just duplicate it, you create your account, and if you already have an account, you decide which workspace to add the template to. That is all. Now, if you have any questions about the template, you can ask them in the comment section below, and I'll try and answer them as soon as possible. Now, again, if Notion is not for you, you can also just follow the steps without using the templates. Also, if you are serious about changing your life and organizing your life in Notion, you could check out my business, Girls Gone Growth, where I help you grow in all of the areas that we went over. So it's not just business, it's also health, purpose, self-discovery, all of those things. Now, this is a paid community, so there is that. But I also do want to mention that maybe if that's not something that you're interested in, I will also continue to upload free self-help content on this channel here. So if you want, you can also subscribe to my channel. Now, one more thing before I will let you go. It would honestly really mean a lot to me if you would like this video, and maybe even let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this video. All right, that is it. Don't forget to download the template, and I really want to wish you the best of luck with creating your life plan. Thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see you in the next video.